Let's talk about the necrosis. So what is necrosis first of all? So the thing is, first of all, what happened? Cell injury happened, then it passed from the state of reversible injury, then it crossed irreversible, and then it led to death, cell death. Okay, now see, after the cell death, the changes which are going to be taking place, this is known as necrosis. Okay, this is known as necrosis. Now let's see, after the cell die, which cell is behaving in what fashion. In that, according to that, we are dividing the necrosis into types. Okay, so the first one is a coagulative necrosis. First of all is the coagulative necrosis. Coagulative necrosis is the most important, and it is the most common. It is the most common subtype. It is the most common subtype of necrosis. Okay, it is the most common subtype of necrosis. Coagulative necrosis, we need to know one thing here, that what was the most common cause of cell injury? Most common cause of cell injury was hypoxia. What is the most common cause of hypoxia? Was ischemia. Okay, so from here, remember, this is the most common cause of coagulative necrosis is ischemia. Okay, what was ischemia? Ischemia was the blockage or the obstruction in artery, artery, artery. Okay, what was the blockage of vein called? It was called congestion. Okay, it was called congestion. Okay, now let's see what happens here. Coagulative, what the name suggests, something is getting coagulated. Coagulated means, suppose if you, even if you take in your hand the fresh meat of fresh muscle of heart, it is softer. Okay, it is softer, it is having a characteristic of a muscle. But in coagulative necrosis, that softness or that texture of the heart is getting lost. That texture of the heart is getting lost, and it becoming firm. Okay, it becoming firm. It's like a kind of an boiling an egg. If you boil a egg, the liquid stuff inside the egg is getting coagulated. Okay, now you can peel and you can hold in the head. Same, the coagulation. This is called coagulation. Okay. Now coagulative necrosis is the most common, but it is not occurring in every organ. It is occurring in an organ, like solid organ. Okay, it is occurring in a solid organ. For example, heart. For example, liver. For example, kidney. Okay, in this kind of an organ. But what about the organ? What about the other organ? Like if you talk about the pancreas, if you talk about spleen, if you talk about CNS. Okay, these are they are different, or they are different characteristic muscle, we can say. These are loose connective tissue mostly. So coagulative necrosis is occurring in solid muscle organ like heart and kidney and liver. Okay, whereas about this we will talk later. Here now, how this thing is getting coagulated. See, the function of the hydrolytic enzyme was to destroy the things, and it will be drained by the lymphatic system and all. And this should be the normal. But what happening is the coagulative necrosis, the the hydrolytic enzyme, the hydrolytic enzyme of we would say lysosome is getting degenerated, degenerated or inactivated, we can say inactivated. So due to this thing, the cells are not destroyed, and they just get stuck in particular area. Suppose if this is heart, this is this, there was a damage, there was a cell death, and it is remaining there and not been removed. This is leading to coagulation. Okay, they're leading to coagulation. Here we should talk about one degeneration which is very common. or very important to know is a Zenker's staining. Okay, Zenker's degeneration. Zenker's degeneration. Zen Zenker's degeneration is mostly associated with uh, typhoid fever. Mostly associated with typhoid fever, and these coagulative necrosis occur in um skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle. Okay. Also also one of the thing which is associated with the coagulative necrosis is neutrophilic infiltration. Okay, this is the neutrophilic infiltration. Okay, neutrophilic infiltration. Now let's talk about the infarct. See, first, there was cell injury because of hypoxia, then hypoxia most common cause ischemia, and then to infarct. It is infarct means complete blockage of the blood. Okay, so suppose whenever there will be infarct, there will be infarction. Suppose if we take this is the organ, this is the artery, this is going here, 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 everywhere, and here is the infarction. Suppose here is the infarction, it is giving branches like these. Okay, it is giving branches, so it will cause necrosis of whole this area. Suppose if this was the point where infarction would have taken place, then it would have covered the whole area because it is giving branch to it. But if we talk about here, at whatever the point the infarction will take place, the if you make a triangular area, that area will be infarcted. Okay, that area will be infarcted, and it is usually triangular in shape. Okay, usually triangular in shape. Now, I don't know about this reason or about the other reason which I am going to say. This infarction is also is appear as a tombstone appear. Okay, tombstone appearance. Either the way you can remember this thing, just the main thing is to remember, if suppose this is the tomb and suppose someone put the stone like this. Okay, someone put the stone like this, that's why it is called tombstone appearance. Or the other case, if suppose this is the whole plain ground, this is the whole plain ground, no one knows where the when any tomb is present or not, so they put a stone. Okay, they put a stone to tell to the people, see, there is a tomb, so don't step on it, like that. So to identify this, wherever there will be stone, we know that there is a tomb. Okay, there is someone is buried. So that's why maybe it is also called tombstone appearance, because after the thing happened, we can the people we can able to distinguish this there was a necrosis. Okay, we identify, right, there was a necrosis and it led to a particular area looking like this. So this is, we know that there was a necrosis. Okay, showing us that there was a necrosis, that's why it is maybe called tombstone necrosis. In infarction, there was a two in infarction there was a two types, and the first one is a red infarct. The first one is a red infarct, and the second one is a white infarct. Okay, second one is a white infarct. What is red infarct? In red infarct, the there is a blockage of venous system. Okay, there is a blockage of venous blood. There is a blockage of, or we can remember like this, that the red infarct occur in those organ which is having both arterial and venous connection. Okay, but the organ which is having only arterial connection, only arterial supply, it will have white infarct. Okay, it will have white infarct. Okay, for example, for example, the red infarct is most commonly seen in loose connective tissue. Okay, loose connective tissue organs. For example, lungs. For example, lungs, or other maybe uh, spleen. Okay, red infarct. Red infarct, due to this reason, it is also known as hemorrhagic infarct. Hemorrhagic infarct. Okay, hemorrhagic infarct. Whereas as far as white infarct is concerned, white infarct is also known as anemic infarct because the blood is not coming, so there is less hemoglobin kind of that idea. So this is also known as anemic infarct. Okay, anemic infarct. And this is most commonly seen in the organ which is having arterial supply. Okay, arterial supply in solid organ. Again we are doing necrosis, so solid organ. It is example, if we talk about, it will be kidney, it will be heart. Okay, because heart is getting blood from the coronary artery, kidney is also getting pure blood. Okay, so here you can see the coagulative necrosis, a very good example. So this is heart. Okay, this is heart. So you can see in this area that there was a coagulative necrosis. Similarly you can also see here in the other photos also that there was a coagulative necrosis. Again, the examples which I am showing, it is an example of also which necrosis, which infarct. It is of example of a white infarct. And it shows that the heart is supplied by artery, so causing to the white infarct. But if you talk about the red infarct, which is an hemorrhagic infarct, this can be seen in liver, this can be seen in lungs. Okay, so here is an example. So it should show like this. Okay, it should show like this. See the infarction. Okay, that's it. I hope it helps you.